Howdy folks, it's All Turtle and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator. We're in the middle of the Northeast Megalopolis bush trip. We're doing a bunch of lakes at once, and if you want to know why we are doing this bush trip while you're watching other ones and why we're doing 5 lakes in one video, I covered all that in part 1, so here's part 2, lakes 5 through 9. Here we go. Alright, we'll come down here, repair and refuel, and I'm really hoping everything is okay because my NVIDIA drivers updated a couple days ago and it really broke my Minecraft shaders. So I'm gonna have to roll back the drivers at some point, but I'm just wondering if it broke anything regarding the flight simulator. It doesn't look like it. We're still getting those jitters that we did not used to get until we updated the sim, and my PC updated the same time that the sim did, so there are 2 variables there. But if you notice the previous video with the first 4 legs, we had a lot of like stutters, not stutters, but like would actually freeze for a second or 2, which is bizarre. Haven't had that ever in the sim, so I don't know if that's a PC thing. See, there's another one. I don't know if that's a PC thing or if that's a flight sim thing. When you have 2 variables, you can't tell. But so far everything looks okay regarding the NVIDIA drivers. So do they put me in the middle of the run? What? We're gonna have to back taxi this one. But yeah, so I'm gonna have to roll my drivers back anyway because of Minecraft. But looks like everything is fine in the flight sim, although things look a little overexposed a little bit. I don't know. Anyway, I don't like to roll back drivers unless I really have to, because there's usually more good than bad. But right now Minecraft is unplayable because I need shaders and my texture pack so I don't get a headache. But I can't play it. I know that has nothing to do with flight sim, but it's just the world of gaming. So there you go. Alright, let's get going. I don't know how long the first video was with the first 4 legs because I haven't edited it yet. But I'm hoping to keep this one around hour 15 or less. So let's get going. Let's zoom this out a little bit. So we just entered Long Island. Remember, we had the weird thing where we didn't actually go to Block Island, which is over here. It had us go this way. Don't quite understand that, but anyway, here we are entering Long Island. We'll see how far we get today as we get closer to New York City. Alrighty, navlog, there it is. Alright, not Gardener, but Gardener's Island. Lift into the air and head west to Gardener's Island, one of the largest privately owned islands in the United States. Privately owned? Who owns that? I don't know. And then after that, we're going to head to Sag Harbor, super famous. Turn on the southwest heading, fly out over Gardeners Bay, and pass over Hog Creek Point, and then to Sag Harbor to reach the town of Sag Harbor. And then after that is Shinnecock Hills. Continue on a southwest course, staying inland of the shores of the Peconic Bays to reach the hamlet of Shinnecock Hills. And then we'll come back together and chit-chat when we get to West Hampton Beach. Continue on course, flying over northern Shinnecock Bay, Deanna Bay, 9 Pine Neck Preserve, Quanta Creek, and the Aspetuck River to reach the village of West Hampton Beach. So we're going to take off in the air. We'll get the autopilot going and we'll hand fly out of here, and then we'll go to the sightseeing thing, which you all know what that means by now. I'm not going to point out every single one of these. You can Google them if you really care that much. But I will make sure they're all in the sightseeing, so you'll see them. I'm not just going to say, here's this, here's that, but you'll see them, though. And then when we get to West Hampton, we'll keep talking again. And, alright, so we're not making it to New York City in this leg, which is fine. Alright, so first thing we need to do is 284 for 2 3/4 minutes. Put that away, 284. Which will be going up like this. This will get us to 284. Probably would have been faster to go the other way. Yes, it would have been. No, wouldn't have. Yes, well, I could have hit the button and then gone the other way. It doesn't matter. We're almost there. 284. Whoops, there we go. And come over here, stop autopilot. We use a flight director. We use heading bug to hold our heading so that we can look around. And we're going to close. What do we want? 3,000 feet has been good. Yeah. And then we'll just do 800 feet per minute. Let's do 1,000. So there you go. So the autopilot isn't navigating for us. The autopilot is just holding the airplane so that I can look outside. Makes sense? Makes sense. I think that's it, right? I think I'm forgetting something. No, we did autopilot. We're gonna back taxi. One set of flaps down. Which way are we facing? We're facing east. Let's just use this or back taxi and turn around the other direction. Is odd. This thing, parking brake thing's weird. Otherwise, I swore I was gonna say something else. I can't remember. Yeah, what was I gonna say? Huh. I don't know. But for this bush trip, I'm not pointing out every single POI. We read about it. I make sure it's in the sightseeing, and then hopefully you noticed it. If not, you can Google it. If not, who cares, right? Other bush trips, we do point out every single POI. It's just these 3 bush trips with World Update 10 are very long. This is the shortest one at 3.5 hours, which will be over 4 hours for us. The other 2 are over 5 hours, which will be closer to 6.5, maybe even 7 hours. So, we'll see how we handle those. It's just if I do 9 videos for one bush trip right now, where we talk about every single POI, and I mean, like I said in another video, I am pre-recorded through September on bush trips. So, I mean, I would be a year behind if I did that. And if I did a leg every single day, sometimes it gets so long, people just don't watch them all because there's just too much. So, yeah, that's why we're doing it this way for this one. Don't know how I'll do the other ones because I'm not doing them yet. So here we go. Let's turn around. Will it let me turn around, or are we going too fast? We must be skidding over the, there we go. Over the wheel. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do a GA style turn and burn. Just like this. There we go. I think everything's ready. I'm not forgetting anything, am I? I don't use checklists or anything. There's no ATC because bush trips, you know, they're just, you just kind of go and land and just don't crash, basically. But if you crash, you got to redo the leg. And, oh wow, we did not need much runway. Brakes to stop the wheels, gear coming up. And what's our caution for? Oh, gear, duh. And flaps coming in. And we'll hand flat here just for a minute. Let's actually start the timer right away because we're already past the runway. There we go. Ocean both sides because it is Long Island. It is a Long Island. And let's turn towards our heading bug. And then if you want to remember what we're looking for, just rewind the tape. Otherwise, as soon as the co-pilot is done giving us hints that we already know, we'll turn it over to autopilot. And we will do some sightseeing until we get to West Hampton Beach. Alright, let's autopilot now just because we can. Should be a pretty smooth handoff. Can't even tell. Nope. Alright, cool. Alright, so 243 I think it said, and then I'm going to change direction and you're going to look for all these harbors and things. And I'll see you with my voice again at West Hampton Beach. I'll see you in a moment as soon as this co-pilot's done talking to us. Alrighty, we're about to reach West Hampton Beach. Let me hop outside with you all. And let's see if I can point this out from here. Right here is what we're looking for. So there's the airport. West Hampton Beach is this area around this loop thing. Goes up to the airport. So we're about to reach that. That's what I got to say about that. We'll look out the windows when we get there, I guess. Let's look out that window while we read about the next greatest thing after West Hampton Beach, which will make our course change in just a minute here. We're going to go to Fire Island, continue over Morich's Bay to visit Fire Island, a long, narrow barrier island that is a popular destination for those who live and work in New York City, because it takes like 2 hours to get out here from New York City, so this is going out of town for them. And then Long Island, MacArthur, head back over Long Island, flying past Bellport over the Pochoco River, and land at Long Island MacArthur Airport just south of Lake Ronkonkoma. We've been here before and explained several times, so we should be able to see our airport on the GPS pretty soon. So we'll go 257, which isn't much of a change, and then 297 towards the airport when we get there. Okay, we're going over West Hampton Beach right now. I said all that in one sentence, I'm sorry, but there we go. West Hampton Beach is right here, this area. As soon as we get there, we'll make a slight adjustment to where we're heading. We've been to this airport many times in Flight Sim too, and an X-Plane as well. I don't know why. I think I did a Long Island tour, I think, a couple years ago, where we went to every airport on Long Island, I think. Not sure. It would have been like 4 or 5 years ago. But anyway, there's West Hampton Beach. Look at all this stuff. And these aren't, I mean, they're probably Airbnbs now, but these aren't resorts. These are houses. It's not crazy. Like vacation homes, second homes, third homes, stuff like that. You know, all that pesky celebrity stuff. Actually, not really. There's a lot of non-celebrities who live there as well. I think we can get rid of this. We know where we're going now. Yeah, there's airports. We're going to take this just for a minute. Actually, we're ahead of schedule. So let's actually adjust this now. And we're going to go along here, the bay. Towards the airport should be a fly straight in type deal. Let's give ourselves some new direction there, and let's check this out, and then you'll get sightseeing again until we get to the airport. So from one airport to the other, I don't think we're going to get to the Lufker-Sabaro airport. I mentioned that in the previous video. I don't think they're going to have us land there, which is a bummer, because that would have been fun to see how it's represented in the simulator. I mean, we always could on our own see how it's represented. In fact, I actually add that to my VFR flight list, I think, because I really want to know. Because in X-Plane 11, we had KEWR for that airport. Anywho, there should be an airport in front of us. I don't see it. Maybe it's in here. Not sure, but I'm going to give you about just under a minute sightseeing, and we're going to land, and then we'll move on to the next sightseeing moment. So no airport out there yet, but I do want to come down now to about 2,000, 2,300 feet or so, somewhere in that ballpark. Before we get too high, we overfly our airport. If I can't spot it right away, of course, we'll join the traffic pattern and fly around, but it would be nice to find it on the first go here. So, I have the hiccups for some reason. We'll look outside a little bit. And then in that last sightseeing segment, you can see all the houses like packed together. So I wonder where all these people work. I always wonder when people live in expensive areas and then there's so many houses tight together and you're like 2-hour drive from New York City, so you don't live and work in the city. Maybe there's stuff around here to work, I guess. I just always wonder where people work. It's like when I'm on the highway, I wonder where people are going, that type of thing. Not to be nosy, just genuine interest. I think I see the airport. I think it's up here. So we're gonna keep our throttle pretty strong here. Without overspeeding, so we'll use it to level off. Whoa, the wind is insane. And we're flying over some more dense neighborhoods. Again, where do all these people work? I wonder. Maybe they're all influencers, every single one of them. A lot of them have pools though, and those are the pretty big houses down there, so they do something fancy. But man, are they packed together. Man, they're packed together. Anywho, we are about at our destination on leg 5. And I'm pretty confident, like I said, that's our airport. I can't make out the runway though. I can only make out the airfield. I'm thinking this is our runway over here. And there's those like stalls, like where the sim stops for half a second or so. Not good. It started happening immediately after I updated the sim to World Update 10. But like I said, my Windows also updated too, so I don't know. Something's going on. I haven't had a chance to check the forums and Discord to see if other people have that problem, if it's just me. But whatever. Okay, I really am not feeling confident about the runway here. I mean, I think that's the runway, but I don't think so either. Why can't I make this out? Let's do gear down anyway. Remember, that is a runway. Okay, I was right. I'm trying to figure out if I'm sitting too low. Can't really tell. Anyway, let's get into flap range here. Wow, look at that. Look at this. Man. I mean, this like micro, not really micro stalling, it's more than micro, but these stalling issues or freezing issues could just be me, something on my computer, but it's a pretty weird coincidence. It started happening after I updated the sim, so I don't know. Alrighty, there's one flap already down, and 2 flaps down, and I'm hoping this is a runway and not a taxiway. Sure looks like a runway to me. Looks like there are 2 runways. Whoa, we're starting to sink all of a sudden here. Don't get too low, you'll lose sight of the runway. And let's just come in for our landing. It says do not land there. So we're gonna land there. Because we can. I don't think it'll register to crash. It might not register as a landing until I taxi around until we get the save icon, but let's see if this will count. But these freezes, man, they are not helping. They're not helping at all. We're gonna stall 15 feet up again because I'm so bad at this aircraft for some reason. Why can't I land this aircraft? I don't understand. I can land everything else. There we go. Boom. Smooth though. Oh, not that nose wheel. Oh my gosh. Okay, they're gonna have to check that nose wheel. That save icon it counted. Alrighty, let's get the nose wheel repaired because that was horrendous, and let's move on to leg 6. Alright, come down here, repair and refuel. That should fix the nose wheel, right? And let's zoom this out a little bit. Just a little. Actually, a lot. Are we going to get to New York City in this leg? Probably not. But we might see it start to creep up on the horizon, though. Pitot heat, there we go. Let's get this going, too. And there we go. Alright, let's read about what's going on here. We're headed to KEWR, so West Babylon. Let me see, are we getting to New York City? Wow, we're getting to the city. Wait, into New Jersey. Oh no, yeah, we're going to New York City. Yay, okay. We're going to get past New York City today, which we will at another time do a full VFR New York City flight. I've done several, but now that it's been updated, we'll do another one at some point. After taking off from KISP, fly inland of the south shore of Long Island to West Babylon. Then from there, we're going to go to Westbury, passing by Republic Airport, Bethpage, Levittown, to reach Westbury. All these are famous places. The Bronx Zoo. Okay. Let's try to really find this to see what it looks like from the air. However, with trees and things, it might be hard to see. But this is, you know, Bronx is a borough of New York City. So borough is more than a neighborhood, but not a city. So New York City is the city. That's the city. The boroughs aren't really cities, but they're more powerful and influential than neighborhoods. So if you have an address, your address will say blah, 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 Bronx, New York, or blah, 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 Brooklyn, New York, although those aren't actual cities. The city is still New York City. You can look it up. It's very specific. And New York isn't the only place to have boroughs. Other cities in the U.S. have boroughs too. But it's always bugged me, like, when I'd see people say, like, they'd put Brooklyn as their address. I'm like, but that's just a neighborhood. That's just a borough. But then I did some research and found out I was wrong. It's more than a neighborhood, but not quite a city. So anyway, Bronx is a borough. I'm sure everybody watching this knows this. I mean, people around the world know that, but just in case you're wondering what the difference is. So we'll fly, Bronx Zoo. I really hope we can find this. And I believe that's going to put us northeast of Manhattan. Kind of, sort of, depending how you want to tilt the earth and, you know, based on the way we're facing. And then George Washington Bridge. So all this is going to happen fast, right? So I think what we'll do, I don't want to pause it, but once you get to New York, it's going to happen really fast. So let's read all this now, and then we'll look at stuff as we go by, right? Or else I can't be reading and flying around New York City at the same time. We'll be above the skyline level. We won't run into anything, but it's going to happen fast. So we're going to fly this, and we're going to the Bronx Zoo. Pass over the Great Neck, fly over the western end of Long Island Sound, just to the east of Throngs Neck Bridge to arrive at the Bronx Zoo, the largest metropolitan zoo in the United States. Then to George Washington Bridge, very famous, passing over the Harlem River, and then to northern Manhattan to reach the George Washington Bridge, which spans the Hudson River. Yes, that Hudson River where Sully safely landed his airplane. Right? You've all heard that story, you've seen that movie. Let's see here. What else can I say about New York? I think we're just going to read about it. And then, yeah, we'll just read about it here. What's next? So basically, we're going to be going down the Hudson. Okay. Then we're going to see Central Park, admiring the views of skyscrapers and towering above Manhattan. These include One Vanderbilt, Bank of America, Chrysler Building, and of course Empire State Building, among others. Central Park lies at the center of Manhattan's architecture and bustle and is the most visited urban park in the United States and one of the most visited places in the world. And yes, there are very, very, very dangerous sections of Central Park and very, very, very safe sections of Central Park. You need to know what you're doing. You can't just go there and hang out. Let's see, continue flying south-southwest above Manhattan, the core of Greater New York City, which lies in the geographic center of the northeast megalopolis. New York, the most populous city in the United States, with nearly 9 million inhabitants in its 5 boroughs, is one of the world's leading centers for business, media, education, the arts, the sciences, finance, and more, and as such can be considered the heart of the northeast megalopolis. Then we'll see the Statue of Liberty. Fly over the Hudson River and then in the New York Harbor to the Liberty Island, Statue of Liberty. The copper statue, which was dedicated October 20th, 1886, stands 305 feet tall, 1 inch from 500 feet, 1 inch from base to torch. The gift of the people of France. The statue is a rendition of the Libertas, a Roman goddess of liberty. And then we'll land at New York Liberty International, which I have been to in real life many times for my job. I had to do some flying around for my job, and they take me from Minneapolis to Liberty Island International, or New York Liberty International, and then back to the Midwest. They had me fly United. So there you go. There's your rundown. We read it all before because it's going to happen fast. I just hope I can find the Bronx Zoo. We will see. Well, it's going to take off at 261 degrees for a while, and then 295, and then I know the rest of the area. We'll just fly it. I'll just fly it. So we're not even going to use the timer on this one because I know where all this stuff is. So 261, I already forgot what I said. Short-term memory problems. Whoa, please cooperate with me here. 261, and then we'll enjoy the leg. It's kind of nice knowing where I'm going and everything ahead of time. Makes it a little bit easier. Let's see. So we stay down at 2,000 feet for this one. So we're really close to the buildings. There are VFR corridor rules for the Hudson, which I'm not going to worry about. But if you want to be extra realistic, you can. I'm kind of surprised you didn't mention that in the They have log, but there are requirements. So let's do this for now. We'll probably hand fly when we get to New York City. The Bronx Zoo is next to the Washington Avenue Bridge, which is the northern of the bridges on the west side of Manhattan. We're going to aim for that. Basically, if we just go straight, we should go to the Bronx Zoo, not have to make any changes. Anyway, here we go. Which way do we want to take off from? Let's just use this runway right here since we're next to it. So let's see, we did everything else. Let's get one set of flaps down, parking brake off, and do a GA turn and burn, because why not? Let's get going here and get up in the air. And I know that was a long introduction for this leg, but that's because we did all the reading first, and there's another stall thing. Oh, I tell you, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, not gonna worry about it. All right, here we go. Brakes to stop the wheels, and gear coming up. And flaps coming in. And once we get over the end of the runway, we will turn towards our heading bug and we'll watch the city of New York skyline come into view above the horizon. I'm very curious if it's going to pop in as it renders in, or is it going to gradually show up like real life? I don't know. I'm gonna have to see. That's what I'm most excited about, is how is the city going to appear. Right? Alrighty, we're going here. We're going towards the Bronx Zoo with everything in between. So let's go back a little bit here on the yoke and do a smooth handoff. The autopilot can't even tell. Look outside a little bit and enjoy the sights along the way. And I'll see you at the Bronx Zoo if I can find it. I might be really distracted though by the skyline. So we'll have to see. We'll find out together what happens in a little bit. Alright, we're not at the Bronx Zoo yet, but I wanted to jump in early anyway to point out that we should, in theory, in real life, would easily be able to see New York City skyline right now because it's right here on the other side of the water. This is New York City right here, all of this, right where the mouse is. So what's going to happen is it's going to, oh, now it's starting to render, and as I speak, see it pop in. So of course it pops in because it's the flight simulator. However, it would be nice if it popped in sooner so that you would gradually get closer to it and see it. Does that make sense? Like if it popped in way up there, then you would gradually see it as it came closer, but then that'd be too much to process and frame rates would be in the tank. So I understand why, but you're looking at New York City, you just can't really tell. I mean, some of the neighborhoods are popping in. But anyway, Bronx Zoo, if you want to know where Bronx Zoo is, because that's what we're going to aim for. See how you got the island there, then you got the Y, then you got this river, and then you got that island, or that pond, lake. Bronx Zoo is right here at the tip of this before that. So this is the Bronx Zoo. That's what we're aiming for. In fact, let's head that way now a little bit. And then George Washington Bridge should be like right here. And then we'll fly down the Hudson, Statue of Liberty, and then the airport is right off screen there. So let's see. Yeah, let's stay south of the zoo so we can see it out the window. And if you go perfectly over, you can't see anything. So let's hop outside now and let's see. Okay, there's a city kind of rendering in. Right here, there's some of the city coming in. There's more of it. So it's this whole thing. This whole thing is Manhattan, and then Bronx, Brooklyn over here, etc., etc. Looks like the World Trade Center rendered in all by itself. But anyway, as I've said before, we can do another New York City VFR flight if we want to someday. But otherwise, we're just going to do this flight as it is. Let's see, more buildings rendering in now. Okay, so I shouldn't have, oh, there we go. See, they just popped in like all at once. I'm gonna say it's not terrible the way they render in, but it is kind of sudden. But anyway, so there's Manhattan, Lower Manhattan, Central Park, which we'll see. Empire State Building is in there. So do we have story time? I guess we can do some story time. I have been in New York City one time only, because when I flew in the area for work, I never left New York Airport, but I got to see the city. But even from Newark Airport, you only see a couple of the buildings. But anywho, sorry, I'm looking at the bridges. They look like dams. Anywho, I have been in New York City one time with my wife. Unfortunately, it was let's go south a little bit here. It was an unfortunate trip because of a health thing that happened. I'm not going to say more than that. I'm not even going to say who it happened to, if it was even my wife or me or a relative. I'm not going to say. There's a health thing that happened, and it made the trip quite challenging. Is Rikers Island out here? I can't remember which island is Rikers Island. Then I'll get back to my story. Don't worry. Well, Rikers Island is this. Wait a second. Hang on a second. Where's Rikers Island? How come I'm having a hard time? Oh, because it's way the heck down here, that's why. Never mind, it's over here. Rikers Island is this one, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Rikers Island right there. If you watch any Law & Order, you've heard of Rikers Island a lot. We're going to miss the zoo, we got to be careful here. Yeah, let me see, yeah, because the airport goes right next to it, and there's the airport. Okay, so there's Rikers Island, if you watch Law & Order. There's some other islands out there that actually have just like abandoned buildings on them, which is freaking cool. Alright, so we're about to get to the Bronx Zoo, which will be right off the nose and to the right. Let's use this view. Here we go. So Bronx Zoo. There's all this area here. So we'll have to see. Yeah, it's just going to be trees in the sim, which is okay. I kind of expected that. I know we're not inside the airplane, so the immersion gets lost a little bit, but we'll just enjoy it. Look at all the traffic down there. Holy moly. Rock and rolly. Let's use the window views a little bit, just because of immersion. But there you go, Rikers Island. I know I keep saying Rikers Island over and over, but people don't really know where it is. And it's mentioned in Law & Order and a lot of movies and things. And then the George Washington Bridge is up there. But there's the zoo, so we're not really going to be able to make much out of it other than trees, which is what I kind of expected. But that's okay. But anyway, there's the zoo from the Bronx. And George Washington Bridge is in front of us, kind of, sort of. Oh my gosh, so cool. And then we'll head this way in a minute and head towards Statue of Liberty. There's World Trade Center. That does not look like Empire State Building. There's Central Park. There's Jackie Onassis Lake. I never got there. Central Park is so much bigger than it looks, and we were in New York City. We only got to like here in Central Park. We didn't make it all this way. I was so bummed. I wanted to take a kayak or something out there. I wasn't able to. But anyway, let's turn now about 90 degrees off from where we are and head south. We're not going to use a navlog. I know where I'm going. Anyway, there we go. Stadiums. Check that out. And yes, again, there's Rikers Island again. And then some more little bridges. We're going to go next to Central Park, George Washington Avenue Bridge. Let's hop outside here. There it is. George Washington Bridge. There are tunnels too, not just bridges, but there are tunnels. So there's several ways to get to Manhattan, but no matter which way you go, it's busy. Oh, this is the road where you saw like that motorcycle gang take out that SUV right here. Anyway, we are using the outside view. See Statue of Liberty poking up, bam, bam, right there. I want his inside view, but this is a terrible airplane for sightseeing. I tell ya. But anyway, my frame rates are sky high, which is awesome. I'm very happy about that. We're at 2,000 feet. Everything's cranked, by the way, so I have all my settings cranked up, and frame rates are so high it's undetectable, so that's good. Cruise ship there. Looks like a Carnival cruise ship, to be honest, and it's not underwater because they have the piers and boat underwater a lot of times. Anyway, I have plenty more story time for New York City, but I'm not going to say too much. There's Empire State Building, by the way, which my wife and I did do at midnight, right before the close, 1 in the morning, something. Anyway, some of the tunnels are here where you go underground to cross. I know some of you really, really, really like story time, but I'll go easy on the story time today. There's the Rockefeller Center, Chrysler Tower. So cool. I wouldn't want to live there, though. I was there once. That's all I need. I'm a medium-sized city person, hence enjoying Minneapolis so much. And here's Lower Manhattan, where all the finance stuff is. Brooklyn is right there. Governor's Island. Staten Island is this huge thing here. Take a ferry there. Statue of Liberty. And New Jersey Airport is right there. So we'll get there in a second. We'll just fly by the Statue of Liberty, then we'll land. There is the World Trade Center. There we go. Looking good. Yeah, I think I mentioned everything. Let's hop inside and look out the window. There we go. Get some immersion, I guess. Brooklyn Bridge. We ate pizza. But the wedding we went to, the groom's dinner, was at a pizza place right under the Brooklyn Bridge. It was so cool. It was awesome. There's the airport we're going to land at. Every time I've been there, I've landed from this direction. Super windy. My pilot friend, who's been on the channel a few times, he said there's Statue of Liberty, by the way. He said that he used to land there all the time. That was his regular landing spot. He said the wind is horrendous on a good day. Anyway, see you later, Manhattan. Look at that. There we go. New York City, I should say, is more than just Manhattan. Alright, let's turn off autopilot and let's land at our airport. There we go. And let's just have at it. So throttle's back. We're running parallel to it right now. Give ourselves a little more space before we turn in for a final, but let's just head that direction. Right over Staten Island. Here are the ferry docks right there, and then you can take the train all the way across, which my wife and I were going to do, but it would take like 2 hours. So we decided not to. But it's something you could do. Very nice. Fun place to visit. Like I said, I've been there once, don't need to be there again. United Airlines, this is one of their hubs, which is why they flew me from Minneapolis to here, back to Ohio for work. Coming home, though, I think I was able to just go... No, coming home, I had to do Newark, Chicago, then Minneapolis. Oh, this is not how you approach an airport, people. Do not do this at home. I'm giving myself no final here. But anyway, it's kind of strange. With the layover. So yeah, just like took forever. Took like 10 or 11 hours to get to Ohio, where I could have driven it in 13. No, I could have driven it in that part of Ohio. I could have driven it in 10. So yeah, I could have driven it in the same amount of time it took to fly there, which is super weird, but whatever. And then yeah, because you add getting to the airport early, getting through security, all this stuff. Yeah, it would have been faster to drive. Whatever. Let's see here. I'm just gonna land. Quit my yip yapping. I really want to look out the window and look at the skyline as we land, but it's not gonna work that way. So let's land here to conclude leg 5, but we're going to keep going. We're going to hit all the legs in this video. Hopefully it's less than an hour and 15 minutes when I get down. So stay tuned. Don't go away, because after we land, we're going to get going again here. There we go. Nice and smooth. Nose wheel down smoothly. Our frame rates are actually being a pain in the butt, even though we are not by the city. It's that weird airport problem that comes up. I'll talk about in the next leg here. Anyway, there we go. That's leg 5, I think. So let's move on to leg 7. Here we go. So let's repair and refuel. And about the airport thing, some of these airports we talk about quite a bit. The handcrafted ones, when your wheels are on the ground, the frame rates dive down no matter how good your system is. But as soon as your wheels leave the ground, it's perfectly smooth. And we're going to experience that again here. Alright, one set of flaps. We don't even need to taxi or anything. We're just going to read about what we're doing and we're going to take off here. Let's get autopilot set up. And let's change views as little as possible. We'll go back up to 3,000 feet for this leg. Heading bug, vertical speed 800 feet per minute. There we go. There, okay. We'll move the views no more because it's just annoying. Alright, here we go. We're going to, is that Philadelphia? We're going to Philadelphia International. So here we go. Highland Park in the air again, head of the southwest, passing Staten Island and Perth Amboy to reach Highland Park on the north bank of the Raritan River. I guess we do have to come down here one more time to set the heading bug to 237. But then after that, we won't change the view until we've left the ground, and then you'll see that frames are right back up there. Even this isn't registering all my clicks. There we go. Alrighty, after that, then we'll go to Plainsboro, continue to the southwest, following the northeast corridor of electrified railroad to Plainsboro. Hopefully we can see that. Transportation is critical, of course it is. Key elements include highways, rail lines, and of course air routes for air traffic of all sizes and types, including helicopters, which are coming in November of 2022 to the flight sim. Continue following the northeast corridor and pass over the Delaware River into Pennsylvania and arrive at the Van Sciver River. And then we're going to go to Philadelphia, the center of the founding of the United States. A planned city from its beginning, Philadelphia is today the largest urban area in Pennsylvania and continues to celebrate the legacy of its role in the beginnings of so many aspects of the country. And it is the birthplace of the United States Marine Corps and the United States Navy, and then we'll land at Philadelphia International. So I know this is another leg where we just read everything first. We normally don't do it that way. We normally, read as we go, or in some cases read 2 or 3 as we go, but it just so happens the previous leg and this leg just works best to read it out. So lakes, rivers, you can Google them if you can't point them out. I will make sure they're all in sightseeing though. So if you look at sightseeing, look at the focus of my sightseeing image, you'll know, hey, that's what we're supposed to be looking for. So that's where we're going to tackle this one. We'll use heading bug on the autopilot machine and we'll take off. And then basically you won't hear my voice again until we get to Philadelphia, suburban area. I just have to make sure myself to keep track of this. So, like 6 minutes, change heading. Although there's not much of a change here at all until we get to Philadelphia. Then by then we'll see the airport anyway. So anyway, parking brake, push it a few times because if I don't push it, we get stuck. If I do push it, we get stuck and it's on anyway. See, you can never win with that. Let's get going. Frame rates will go back into the 60s as soon as our wheels leave the ground. It's just a weird thing. It's hard to control. The frame rates aren't perfectly smooth. And pop up and do not get into a head-on collision with airplanes landing from the other way. Brakes to stop the wheels. Gear coming up. And flaps coming in. And we'll hand fly out of here just for a moment. And then basically we're going to make a U-turn. I think they imply a U-turn to the right because it says to go to Staten Island. So to me that would mean U-turn to the right. Because if we U-turn to the left, we won't be on Staten Island. So let's go this way. We'll get to see the city skyline kind of. And see our frame rates are much better. Bam, see, they just got better. So I don't know what's going on with these airports. But it's all the nice ones. The nice handcrafted airports give problems. And here we go. Making our U-turn. Can't really see much out that window, but that's okay. Da 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 da. And should be next to Manhattan, the lower Manhattan, and we are. Let's bring the wingtip down a little bit, just so we can see. There's Statue of Liberty in the middle of your screen. Governor's Island behind it. Brooklyn in the far ground. New Jersey in the midground. And here we go. I guess we should turn a little bit more. And let's autopilot take over. Smooth handoff. There we go. Cool. Alrighty. That's it. So we're going to fly around. I'm going to make slight adjustments, but basically it's a straight line all the way to Philadelphia. And hopefully I give you some sightseeing shots that are worth seeing. I'll see you in Philly. Alright, the Philadelphia metropolitan area with the skyline in the background. It's still rendering things in because it takes forever to render some things in. And the airport's over here along the water, I thought, because we've landed there before, but I'm not getting it to show up on the GPS. So is that not the weirdest thing you've ever seen? It should be like right here, I thought. I don't know, maybe it's closer to the waterway. I guess we could pull this map up. We don't use this map very often. But we could pull up this one. Can we get it to render in there? There it is. So yeah, it is. Okay, there it is, finally. Making me nervous that it wasn't showing up. But yeah, we're headed right for it. Should be pretty straight in approach. Right here, I thought it was here, but it's right there. I see it now. So we'll just fly straight in from here. Pretty straightforward. Let's look outside a little bit together, since we haven't been doing much of that. But there we go. Philadelphia metropolitan area. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, of course. We're over in New Jersey now. This is New Jersey side. That is the Philadelphia side of the river. And then back here was Trenton. It's going away now, but we had quite a bit of sightseeing for Trenton over here. And then, generally, though, the scenery is pretty top-notch. This is hitting pretty close to 10 out of 10. And with 25 or 26 bush trips under our belt now, we're a pretty good judge of the scenery. Some of it's pretty awful, some of it's pretty amazing. This is like 9.5 out of 10, 10 out of 10. This is fantastic. We did have a discovery flight through here during the first United States World Update a couple years ago. And this looks even better still. So, look at all those pools. Wow, everybody has a pool. Man. That's insane. I would love to have a pool, but I wouldn't want the maintenance. Anywho, we better get back inside now because our airport's coming up very quickly. And we are going to be too high to get there in a minute. Let's zoom that a little bit so we have a sense of distance. There we go, there's the skyline. Let me move it to feel more comfortable. Sorry, it makes noise, but there we go, much better. Alrighty, look at that main road going down there. Oh, so cool. Alrighty, let's turn off autopilot. And bring back throttle, start descending. I think the airport is right there. Pretty sure it is. So we're using throttles back to descend, but we want to keep our speed up. We don't want to slow down yet. We got plenty of time to slow down. I'm pretty sure I see the runway layout like this, so we're going to prepare for that. So we'll come out to here and then have a nice straight in approach. We'll keep our speed up. We'll keep our altitude around 2,000 or so, maybe 1,800. and then we'll get gear down in a minute. It's too early for flaps. There's 2,100 feet. Keep an eye on that altitude. Throttle's back in now, so we level off a little bit. There we go. There we go. Very nice. Okay, perfect. 1,800 feet or so, which is what we wanted. Looking at the skyline before it disappears. And the ship's in the water. How cool is that, eh? Let's give the other side some love, the New Jersey side. Very cool. Yep, that's the runway. Right there. So that's what we're going to aim for. We're going to keep our altitude about the same. Bring back throttles. Actually, we'll nose up to slow down a little bit, but we'll bring back throttle so we don't climb. There we go. Perfect. Simple approach. This bush trip is really easy in terms of navigation, finding landmarks, even if you didn't know the area, and landing on these big, huge airports. Yeah, runways. Some of the bush trips get pretty scary. The Appalachian bush trip might be kind of tricky, and I've been to Appalachian Mountains too, so I'll be able to talk about that when we do that bush trip. And then the last one is in California. I'm not sure what the train is going to be like out there, depending where they put us. But anyway, right now we're focusing on landing in Philadelphia. Let's get geared down now, so don't forget. That'll cause a little bit of drag. Oh, look at that beautiful skyline coming in. I feel like we're flying an airliner. Oh, look at that. Very nice. Let's not get too low for our sightseeing here. Oh, look at that. It's amazing. Alright, gears down. We'll get flaps in a second, or flaps out in a second. It's a little too early for that. Just checking out how the bridges are still screwed up because they're solid. Some of them are solid objects, so it actually makes them solid. Other ones are objects you can go through, and they're not solid. So very interesting. Alright, here we go. Slowing down. Nose up, but then throttles back so that we don't climb. And get into flap range here. Sometimes these long approaches seem like we're barely moving, but we are moving pretty good. I think we'll just land for, well, yeah, we'll land 2 sets of flaps. Oh, I could have landed over here. That's a cool little runway. End up in the building if you overshoot. I don't see that very often. Alright, full flap. Too busy looking around, so we got a little slow and a little low. So let's correct to that. That's interesting over there. Too bad it's going under the wing. That's really cool. Oh, we better look at where we're going. There we go, right on glide slope. Alrighty, and for those numbers, and we're getting the weird frame rates again when we get to a handcrafted airport, but then when we take off, we'll be fine. Super strange. Frame rates will get really bad as soon as the wheels touch. And then we'll move along to the next leg as soon as we land here. There we go. We're actually not going to stall too high above the ground. Slight flare, landed a little early. Ground effects will save us though. Perfect. And bam, nice. And nose wheel down gently this time. There you go. Step on the brakes. Flaps coming in. And look for that save icon. Where are you? There you are. Thank you. Okie dokie, on to the next leg. I think it's leg 7. Let's keep going. Alright, this is leg 8, and I know because I left the bush trip to look at the menu. Leg 8, penultimate leg of this bush trip. Basically, we're just heading southwest to Washington, D.C. to land at Ronald Reagan, with one stop in between. I already did the repair and refuel. I already set up autopilot. I already did everything, just to save a minute or two here. Or a couple seconds, I guess. So I read through this. This is another leg where we're just going to read it all and then just fly it. Just because of the super obvious points of interest and easy peasy flying. We're just going to read it and fly it instead of read and fly, read and fly, read and fly. So we're just going to go here. Wilmington, follow the Delaware River. That's this right here. Into the state of Delaware, in the town of Wilmington. That should be pretty obvious to see Wilmington. I'll make sure I catch it in sightseeing. And then we'll go to the city of Elkton, which again I'll make sure to catch in sightseeing. And then stay to the south of the Northeast Corridor and cross the Susquehanna River to the Havre de Grace, Harbor of Grace, which lies at the head of the Chesapeake Bay. We have an airplane coming at us head on. And you see the Chesapeake Bay, it'll be huge. Let me zoom this out. Again, the frame rates are weird until we leave the ground. As soon as we leave the ground, we'll be fine. This is the Delaware Bay. This is the Chesapeake Bay. So we're just going to fly over here basically to Washington, D.C. After the Chesapeake Bay, we're going to go to the city of Aberdeen, Maryland, which lies on the outskirts of Baltimore. So we'll see Aberdeen, and then using the river corridor to guide, fly over the Bush River, and then land at the airport, Martin State Airport. So 3 cities, well, 2 cities, body of water, a city, and airport. So that's why we're just going to fly it all. I don't need to read as we fly on those because it's all pretty straightforward. Sometimes, though, we read as we go. Just depends. It's all a little bit different, right? So there we go. Without further ado, let's hit the parking brake button a billion times until it cooperates, and let's get going. And parking brake is on. I can never win. Hit it odd number of times, and it's on. Hit it even number of times, and it's on. Doesn't seem to matter. And we're not going to worry about it. So here we go. Airspeed is well alive, and as soon as we get off the ground, our frame rates will go up. So there we go. Brakes to stop the wheels, and gear coming in, and boom, frame rates are smooth. See that? See them smooth out? Super weird with the handcraft airports. Flaps coming in, come down here. We don't need the timer. We know where we're going. And not much really to do. So let's just engage autopilot right away, which you normally don't need to do with GA, but because of making content and sightseeing for you all and myself, we just use autopilot. Simple as that. Yeah, looking good. Look at the industrial parts of New Jersey over there. In the road down below. Alrighty, let's see what else is there to do. Yeah, I gotta wait for the co-pilot to tell us things you already know, and once the co-pilot is done speaking, I'm going to do some sightseeing until we get to our airport. Pretty straightforward. I will see you when we get there. Oh, right, our our airport is in view, and so is a whole bunch of other traffic around us. What a busy part of the world to be flying. So we're entering the Chesapeake Bay now. We're going to fly straight to our airport, try to figure out where the runway is, and then land. So let's actually turn this back a little bit. So we go to the left a little. Could come down here to give a bigger spot to find a runway and land on final. Yeah, that'll work good. Okay, what are we doing now? We're just flying for a little bit until you see it over here in all this. Oh, there's runway there. Hang on. You think that's it, or you think that's a different airport? No, that might be that airport. Yeah, that's not the one we want. So we have a little ways to go yet. I just wanted to jump in and hop outside with you and look around because the scenery is still 10 out of 10. I cannot believe how nice this scenery looks. I mean, we get our sense of altitude. The scaling of the satellite imagery is spot on for this area. The autogen is pretty much spot on. I just can't believe it because in some areas the scaling of the satellite is so bad. But again, it's not the simulator's fault. I know that. It's whatever resources they have available to them. But it is interesting to note the differences, right? Just look at that road going down there. I'm sure that road is just gorgeous to fly on. I mean, to drive on. Oh, little place to live there. That's cool. And then I'm pretty sure I showed all of our cities and sightseeing. So I don't think we missed any of the points of interest. I'm pretty sure we got them all. Anyway, so that is not an airport there. There's another one up there, which should come into view pretty soon. And then we'll land. Oh, you see those cars down there on that road going through the... Look at those cars moving on that road through the woods. Man, how cool is that? That is so stinking cool. Well, let's not lose our airplane. There we go. Oh my goodness. Oh, you could live on that lake. Look at all the docks. Oh my goodness. I would love to live on a little lake surrounded by trees. Man, that would be awesome. Wow. Alrighty, time to fly an airplane though. Let's see. How far are we from this airport? How will we know when we're there? I don't know, but I think it's time to hand fly. And we'll bring this down a little bit. It'll probably go off. Yes, it did. Big water, little water, little water, more water. Little water with a leg, a little water. Maybe it is this right here. I think it is actually. I think it is. Let's bring throttles back to come down a little bit more. So we can keep it in view, but we'll let the nose drop so that we keep our speed up a little bit here. Yeah, I'm going to aim for that. If that's not it, then I'm really confused. But that really looks like an airport to me. But we all know how many times I've been wrong. Even coming to a landing on things that weren't an airport. Some of those bush trips get really bushy. Alright, there's a cool island there under the wing. Again, hard to see in this aircraft because it's low-wing aircraft. But we'll do it here. We will make it. Is that a highway? Or is that a land mass? Or is that a mistake? It shows grass there. Huh. Right in front of the wing. I mean, engine. Yeah, that has to be an airport. I mean, why wouldn't it be? Alright, let's keep our speed up until we get to the breaker there. And then we'll get gear and flaps down. Keeping an eye on the blinking lights at the end of the runway so I don't lose it. Keeping our altitude coming down, but not too low, or else we'll lose the airport. So let's actually level off here. So we'll use some throttle to level off. And first set of flaps. And that'll slow us down a little bit. Don't use flaps as brakes, although sometimes it happens that way. It looks like we got some skyline action as we get into Baltimore. That's pretty darn cool. I'm sure we'll be flying right over Baltimore on the last leg, as well as going over Washington, D.C., which might need a VFR flight or Discovery flight because we'll be flying an airplane to get through there. We're not going to active pause or anything. Because that can screw up your engines and you can crash while you're paused in a push trip. But we'll get over there. We'll look around at some point. Alrighty, here we go. Love listening to the sound of the drag. That is so cool. Can we look out the windows very quickly at the resorts and things and waterside cabins and Baltimore? Okie dokie, pay attention, turtle, because you overshot your runway. And here we go, full flap. We don't need it, but I'm going to. Man, would it be cool to be hanging out on the dock or in the water watching airplanes land? How cool would that be? Oh my goodness. Alright, here we go. We're getting a little bit low. Get some throttles in there to keep us from descending. There we go. And we'll pitch for our speed, but our speed is okay. So we'll just use throttles to control things. Clear the trees. Trying to get centered on the runway. You put the center between your legs, which doesn't make sense because you sit to the left, but because of your perspective, runway between the legs is centered on the runway. It's like putting yourself in the center of the lane driving a car, puts you in the middle of the lane. Alright, here we go. Throttles back. We're going to ride this out. Slight flare. Ground effects will soften our blow. There they are. Stalled just at touchdown because I like to. Look at that. Best landing so far, especially for this airplane, since I do not get along with this aircraft very well. Flaps coming in on the brakes, obviously. Looking for that save icon. There it is. And let's move on to the final leg. Here we go. Final leg. Here we go. Quickly, let's get rolling. I don't know how long this video is edited down. Repair and refuel, but we'll enjoy it. Should be a very quick leg, though. So we might just fly the whole thing together. We'll see where we headed. Ronald Reagan, which isn't on the map yet. Or is it? No, not quite. What a mess. Let's zoom this thing out. Ugh. Whatever. Let's just leave it. Leave it alone, turtle. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Alright, here we go. Turn the POV on while I have the hiccups. Everything else is fine. We probably won't need the timer, because we probably know where we're going. But anyway. Alrighty, we'll stay right. We're on the runway. Let's read about it. Are we going to read as we go for this one? We don't even get an airport. It stops here. What? Hopefully, yeah, I mean, that's Ronald Reagan's. We're good. Lift into the sky and head west-southwest of Baltimore. Each in the city's inner harbor is a visual reference. Okay, so look for the inner harbor there. Baltimore is the most populous city in Maryland and is notable for its harbor and center of education and technology. Set a southwest heading from Baltimore, passing over the Patapsco River to the city of Columbia, which lies on the western shore of Lake Kittamaquindi. A key visual reference, as is the largest body of water along this corridor of flight. So we'll look for, well, Baltimore's going to be pretty obvious, and we'll look for a large body of water, and then the Rocky George Reservoir. Follow US 29 to Rocky George Reservoir with lights on the Patuxent River. Continue along 29 as a guide, following to the north, a community that lies to the north of Washington, D.C., and then our guide stops. Then we'll look for the airport. Okay, very strange. So let's start at 269, which isn't much of a difference here. Like I said, it's pretty much straight to Washington from here. So, yeah, we'll take off and use heading bug like we have been so that we can look out of the window. Let's use 3,000 feet. Has been perfect for us. We'll come down lower as we get towards Washington, though. And we're all set, I think. The only thing I'm going to look up is that reservoir, because I'm not sure where that is. Otherwise, I'll make sure sightseeing captures everything. And we'll just have little commentary when we get to Washington, D.C. So, off we go. Very simple. I think it was only 13 minutes or something. Yeah, that's going to be quick. Alright, here we go. Airspeed is alive. I'm all ready to take to the skies for the last time on this bus trip. Wonderful bus trip. Not my absolute favorite. Gear coming up, flaps coming up, but it's up near, you know, the top third of my favorites. So we've got that going for us. Let's see, let's come down here. I don't even need the timer. I'm just gonna use visual references. I know where we're going. So here we go. We're leaving the airport now. Let's head towards our heading bug towards Baltimore. And let's not, you know, go straight up. And Baltimore's right in front of us. You can see the skyline coming through. So here we go. Looking at the highway, and I want to look around, so let's use autopilot right now. Smooth handoff, can't even tell. Let's look around together briefly here, and then we'll go to some sightseeing without my voice. Checking out the rails, checking out the interstates, checking out Baltimore off in the distance there. The bays, the water, the intersections. I mean, such an amazing, like even the parking lot lines. What an amazing job on the scenery, and then the autogen doing its thing. Look at all those swimming pools. Wow. I mean, just look at this. If I did a still shot and said it was a drone image, you would not be able to tell. I don't care who you are. I mean, there's shadows everywhere even. Oh my goodness. I'm just so amazed at what this looks like. And the flying is fantastic too. I mean, I'm not going to get into like flight model stuff, but I enjoy flying these planes way more than the next plane. You get wind, you get turbulence, you get terrain turbulence, you get updrafts and downdrafts. I mean, you get all that stuff. Controlling the plane, of course, is simulated. Like the pedals are always oversensitive no matter what. That's just how simulators work. You don't have to shake the yoke around very much like you do when you watch real planes fly, but that's seen with all sims. So anyway, there's Baltimore right there. Alright, I'm going to turn you to some sightseeing, and you'll come back to my lovely voice when we get to Washington, D.C. See you in a couple minutes. Alright, I see stuff up there, and we're lined up with our airport for the most part, and I just had to step away for about a real life hour, so this 13-minute leg is taking me like an hour and a half. So hopefully I can figure out where we are and remember what we're doing. I think we're going to fly by Washington, D.C. and land at the airport. So there's the airport right there. You can already see it. There's the airport. Washington, D.C. is this gray area with all urbanization. I don't know what we're going to see on this particular bush trip in terms of the famous monuments and things. But if we want, we can come back and do our own VFR tour of the area if we would like. Just turn on all the POIs and we'll be able to see everything. Alrighty, looking out the windows for the final times here. And getting ready to land. Let's come down to 2,100 feet. And then we'll vertical speed, nose down. It should capture that, bring back throttles a little bit so we don't overspeed. But I should be able to see some stuff here. So we're going to fly the rest of this leg talking together, because why wouldn't we? I can see some of the monuments already coming into view. So we'll have a look at those as we fly by. We definitely will see quite a bit from this path, because we're going to go right between the buildings here and right to the runway. So shouldn't be too big of a deal to approach and land. Very cool. Good. Alrighty. Let's see, anything to say? Not much. No story time for this area. Nothing. Our summer trip, when Mexico was temporarily canceled, we were thinking about Boston, Washington, D.C., but we ended up with Miami, and now we're going back to Mexico anyway. Because of the restrictions being lifted. There's an airplane that just landed and despawned. There's another one coming in. So everybody's landing from the south. We're going to land from the north. Because why not? No ATC to tell us what to do, so we'll do what we want to do. Alrighty, let's turn off the autopilot machine, and let's come down to less than 2,100 now. Probably, I don't know, into glide path now. You could always active pause and look around, but the concerns about that is your engines keep going, so you could speed up, slow down, all that stuff, stress the aircraft even though you're paused. So in a bush trip it's a problem, because if you stress the aircraft in any way, it does consider it a crash and you have to start over. The airplane is coming right towards us, I think. So I don't want to stress the aircraft. There's Washington Monument. And all the museums. Anyway, don't want to risk stressing the aircraft and crashing and redoing the leg, so we will not use active pause, which means we won't look around all that much. Maybe we can go slowly enough that we can look out the windows, but y'all know what happens when we look out the windows as we approach. We end up having a really tough time. Anyway, let's see here. Coming in. Checking out the White House. Not the White House. The monument, the mall, the museums, Capitol building, all that stuff. Gears down. And let's slow down, and we should get a look left out the window and then see everything. Can you imagine, though, flying in on a commercial airliner, sitting on the right side during this approach and looking over everybody? Yeah, that'd be a bummer. And first set of flaps down. And the wind coming off the buildings is cray. It's full flaps now, so we can go nice and slowly. Look at that wind gust all over the place. Says we have a perpendicular crosswind of 2 knots, but at 4 knots. Whoa, okay, let's pay attention to what we're doing and not crash. We want to finish this trip nicely, so let's get some throttle going here to fight against the drag of the flaps. So we still want to stay nice and slow. We can look out the window in a minute. And hopefully not run into this Delta Airlines 395 in front of us. And I'm going as slowly as possible so we can have a look out the window. So normally we wouldn't go this slowly. We would have a much faster approach speed, but I want to be able to look out the window. So we're going to go very slowly. And then we'll look out the window in a moment here. Look at that, all the famous buildings. See how many you recognize. Do you see the Smithsonian? Do you see... Whoa, pay attention, turtle. Oh my gosh, this is insane. This wind is ridiculous. It's only 4 knots. Anyway, there we go. There's the White House right there. White House, Capitol's at the end of the mall. Ah, no. This is not going very well. Anyway, Capitol's at the end of the mall. Smithsonian. Okay, enough of that. We will do a sightseeing tour sometime, but not right now. We gotta land this airplane. Alright, there we go. Much smoother. Phew, that was close. Did not need to be that stressful and scary. Anyway, nice and smooth. And let's not get too low. We'll lose sight of the runway, which is enormous. No excuses for a bad approach here. Oh, more airplanes coming head on. Hopefully we can stop in time. Here we go. We'll see if we can top our landing, because the last one's pretty good, especially since this aircraft and I do not get along all that well. We're going to stall about 15 feet up like we have been. Where's that stall horn? Round out a little bit. Ground effects. There we go. And boom. Nice. And those go down gently. There we go. Flaps coming in. This wind is crazy, even though it's only 2 knots. And let's look for that save icon. Look at that airplane coming right at us. That's hilarious. Alright, we did it. Only took an hour and 5 minutes longer than it was supposed to, because that's what happens with me. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed the format of combining a bunch of legs and just flying through it. The next 2 bush trips of this set are very long. Not sure what format I'm going to use for those. Probably not 1 leg per video, because then we'd be going into like October. But anyway, enjoy the pre-recorded bush trips, and I'll see you next time. Simple as that.